Hey everybody, and welcome to this A+ 1201 practice quiz where I am going to give you one question for every single exam objective for your CompTIA A+ 1201 exam. Let's go ahead and get straight into it with our first question coming from exam objective 1. The question reads, Alex just bought a brand new smartphone that boasts rapid data transfer speeds, enhanced power delivery for fast charging, and a reversible connector design that lets him plug in the cable either way without any hassle. Based on these features, which USB connector is Alex's phone most likely equipped with? A. USB, B. USB-C, C. Micro USB, or D. Mini USB? Your answer is coming in about 3 seconds, guys. Pause the video if you need more time. 3, 2, 1. That's right, your answer is B. USB-C. The question clearly said that the connector could be put in either way. The key defining characteristics of the USB-C cable is its rapid data transfer capabilities. It is the USB cable that has the highest data transfer capabilities, fast charging as well, but the key giveaway is its reversible design. There's no wrong way to plug this in. So long as you try to fit it in the hole, it will go in the hole. All right, so that is the key giveaway for the USB-C. The only other cable that can do that is the Lightning cable, but that is an Apple proprietary cable. The Lightning cable belongs only to iPhones and iPads and things to that effect. And because this was specifying a USB cable, because it can be plugged in either way, USB-C was the right answer. The other options available there was USB. That's a more vague term there that encapsulates pretty much any USB cable at all. But generally, it's talking about USB-A, micro and mini USB there. So these are older standards that have a variety of shapes and sizes that we'll have a look at in a second. But these have one right way that you can plug them in, which immediately eliminates all other general USB cables from being the correct answer here, because it said you could plug it in either way, whereas USB-C can be plugged in either way. There's no wrong way to plug it in. Another option there was micro USB. So you can see what that looks like over here. It has that shape. It's a very slight difference where one edge is shorter than the other edge. That is the micro USB. Before the USB-C became like the number one, micro USB was widely adopted standard for charging and for data transfer in portable electronic devices. So micro USB was generally used for portable electronic devices. Think about your digital cameras, tablets, things to that effect. So it is very compact, and really you just need to know functionally micro USB is a smaller version of USB-A, which is the big rectangle USB, and it is the small version of the USB cable that is used for charging those portable devices such as tablets, phones, things to that effect before USB-C came along. Okay, it was faster than mini USB, and we'll talk about mini in a second, but again, it doesn't have that reversible design. There is only one right way to plug this thing in. The other option was mini USB. You can see how it's a bit more chunky over here, right? It's a bit more of a chunky cable. And this is like the oldest USB cable ever of all the options that you need to know about for your exam. So mini USB was, again, a common connector for portable electronic devices, but this is just like way old. All right, this was before micro USB came out. That's functionally what you need to know, right? This was used for those, the same kind of things that micro USB was, but it's just not as good. It's more of a difficult shape, and this was before micro USB, all right? So hopefully that helped to clear those up. Pause and have a read if you need to, but we're going to move on to the next question after we look at what exam objective that was from. So that question was from exam objective 1.2, and I've highlighted the specific section. All of that question was only from this section here. So you can see, and you might get a feel for the different type of things you may be asked for your exam here. You're going to need to be able to have a look at all of these for exam objective 1.2 and answer similar questions to this on all of those. All right, the next question from exam objective 2 reads, a university is upgrading its campus network to support modern devices such as IP cameras, VoIP phones, and wireless access points. To simplify installation and reduce cable clutter, the IT department intends to use a device that delivers both power and data over the same Ethernet cable, eliminating the need for separate power cables and outlets. Which device best meets these requirements? Is it A, a PoE injector, B, a router, C, a PoE switch, or D, powered Cat5 cable? Your answer coming in 3 seconds. Pause the video if you do need more time. It is coming in 3, in 2, in 1. That's right, guys. Your answer is absolutely C, PoE switch, or power over Ethernet switch. Before we get into it, what were they looking for? They were looking for something that can support modern devices such as IP cameras, VoIP phones, and wireless access points. They wanted to simplify installation, which means the most simple installation possible, reduce cable clutter, right? They wanted to use a device, one single device that delivers power and data over the same Ethernet cable. That is exactly what a PoE switch does. So a PoE switch is essentially the same as a regular switch, but it is also capable of injecting power into the Ethernet cables within the switch itself. Okay, the switch itself can run both data and power over that Ethernet cable. So that way you only need the one cable running from the switch to whatever the device is. So if we have a look in this image over here, right, that would look like if we have a VoIP phone here, and this one might be going to a camera, this one might be going to some other device. You only need the one cable running from the switch to the device in question, therefore having that simplified cable management. Now, what this means is you don't need separate power cables and outlets. So for example, you don't need your power over Ethernet injector. You don't need a separate device to inject it. Because imagine, if we had a PoE injector, we would have to essentially, for every one of these cables, run this through a PoE injector to inject power separately, and that would not meet the requirements for this question, was simplified cable management. So your other options here, right, the other one was a router. We should hopefully know that a router is what acts as the gateway in your local area network. It uses IP addresses to forward data in and out of your network and make sure they get to the correct device. That has nothing to do with this question. All right. The other one is a PoE injector, which we briefly talked about. All right. So what does a PoE injector do? Basically, you plug your Ethernet cable into the PoE injector, which then injects power into that Ethernet cable, which would then allow that particular cable to provide both power and data to that particular device. But you'd have to do that for every cable, and that is going to not have the good simple cable management that this question was after. All right, so you're really going to use this where you only have a few PoE devices, but in the question it was talking about the whole campus, so it's just out of the question to do this for the whole campus. So real quick, just so we can kind of quickly go over it, right, we've got a PoE switch, and then we've got a PoE injector. So for the PoE switch, really the reason this is the best option is because for the switch, excuse my terrible drawing, I'm using my mouse pad, right, we've got the one, and you might have the Ethernet cables plugged in here, boom, boom, boom. The cable is going to run from here straight to, let's say this is a camera over here, and that's all you have to do, right? That camera now has power and data. And this one's going to run to maybe a VoIP phone. We'll call this. This is our phone. This phone now has power and data. But for a PoE injector, what you'd have to do is you'd have the switch, right? And you'd have to then have the Ethernet cable coming out, have a PoE injector over here to inject the power up into the camera. And do that for every device, right? Depending on their location and the type of injector you have there. But you can see how this one actually could complicate the cable management, which is why the PoE switch is the correct option there. So hopefully that made sense, guys, and helped to clarify it a little bit. Your other option there was a powered Cat5 cable. That's basically just a very generic term to kind of throw you off. Yes, you could use a Cat5 cable, and yes, you need it to be powered, but that's not actually talking about the specifics of how you would do that. So this one came from Exam Objective 2.5, comparing and contrasting common networking hardware devices. So you do need to have a look at this and make sure that you can tell the difference between all of these and talk about when you would use each of these and what they are used for. All right, that's the main thing you need to be able to do with all of these. The next question from Exam Objective 3 reads, hey guys, this video is sponsored by the A+ Core 1 and Core 2 Ultimate Learning Guide. This learning guide has helped many people pass their Core 1 and Core 2 exams, meaning that they can move on to their Network Plus and Security Plus sooner rather than later. In the learning guide, here's what you will get. Detailed notes, revision notes, active recall questions, and multiple choice questions for every single exam objective. 3 full-length practice exams with performance-based questions, a document with performance-based questions, a video showing you exactly how to study using multiple choice questions So you will be moving ahead of 99% of other people at a much faster rate because you are studying more effectively. A video giving you test-taking tips in case you get stuck on a question in the exam. A video showing you how to use free AI tools to 10 times your study sessions. And best of all, I want this to be accessible to everyone regardless of your economic position. So I've made it extremely affordable. So if this sounds good to you, you can head over to journeytocyber.com and grab your A+ Core 1 or Core 2 learning guide today. But really, that's it. You need to know DIMM is larger and is in laptops, and SODIMM is smaller and, DIMM is larger and is in desktops, and SODIMM is smaller and is in laptops. That information alone would have been enough to answer this question, because it says a memory upgrade on your desktop computer. So you can see how if you read the question carefully, you don't really necessarily need to worry about all the other stuff, and you can kind of fly through questions that are trying to throw you off with all those numbers. Okay. With that being said, that comes from Exam Objective 3.3, Compare and Contrast RAM Characteristics. So you need to know about all of that. Your next question from Exam Objective 4 reads, Jake's organization needs a cloud solution that allows multiple businesses and institutions with similar interests to share resources while maintaining security and cost efficiency. Instead of using a public or private cloud, they opt for an infrastructure managed and used collectively by a group with common goals, ensuring better compliance and collaboration among stakeholders. Which of the following best describes the cloud model Jake's organization is using? A, private cloud, B, public cloud, C, hybrid cloud, or D, community cloud? Your answer coming in 3 seconds. 3, pause the video if you need more time. 2, here we go. 1, and it is absolutely D, community cloud. So this was a group of people, a group of agencies, shall we say, coming together and forming a community cloud to help them with their common interests. All right, so you do need to know about the following 4 types of cloud configurations for your exam. Community cloud is exactly what was described in this scenario. Multiple organizations with shared interests or concerns coming together and utilizing a cloud that they all share. Another one is private cloud, which is basically where a single organization has their own cloud infrastructure, which gives you a high level of control, but is also very expensive because you have to purchase the infrastructure yourself. You then have a public cloud, which is where you pay to rent on a third-party provider's cloud. Think of Google Drive, for example. And then hybrid cloud, which is a combination of any 2 or more of those setups or cloud types. So that comes from Exam Objective 4.2. You need to be able to differentiate between private, public, hybrid, and community cloud, as well as everything else you see here too. Okay, the final question from Exam Objective 5 reads, during an important video conference, Linda notices that she cannot hear any audio through her external speakers. She quickly checks the on-screen volume indicator and confirms that neither the system volume nor the application's volume is muted or set too low. What is the most likely cause of the audio problem in this scenario? A, the system volume was too low. B, loose or unconnected audio cables. C, outdated audio drivers. Or D, the speaker's battery is dead. Pause the video if you need more time. Your answer coming in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Your answer is B. Loose or unconnected audio cables is the most likely answer. Why is that? When you're troubleshooting audio problems, or really any hardware-based problem at all, the most fundamental and overlooked issue is usually a simple physical connection. So the truth is, we didn't actually have any specific information other than just the system volume and the speaker volume are both high. We just can't hear anything. So the question specified, right, what is the most likely cause? Not what definitely is the cause, but what is the most likely cause? So with no other information, the most likely cause is always going to be a cable-based solution. Probably something just is probably unplugged, right? Without any more information, it's probably going to be that the cable is plugged in wrong or not plugged in enough, okay? Physical connections always come first. That is always the first step and is always going to be the most likely issue before we go to any other more complicated issues, particularly if we don't have any additional information. So system and application volume were already checked by the individual in the question and confirmed to be okay. The other issues, without any other information, really there's no reason to assume it would be them. Without any other information, always assume it's a physical wiring problem. All right. Now, If you enjoyed this guide, you can head over to journeytocyber.com/1201 and grab my learning guide. Let's actually come over here and take a look. Everything you need to pass your A+ 1201 exam. This thing is helping people pass consistently. I'm having people message me and tell me that they are passing because of this. Why? Because I have organized this thing to intentionally help you pass your exam. This person passed, got almost full marks, and is now moving on to their Network Plus, and you can read all the other comments there on the website. But essentially what you get is everything is organized by exam objective, and you can see within that exam objective, you can actually organize it by dot point as well. So you can go to exactly the information that you need and make sure you're covering absolutely everything. For each exam objective, you get detailed notes, as you can see here. You get active recall questions, you get multiple choice questions, and on top of that, you also get 3 full-length practice examinations and videos instructing you on exactly how to study for this thing. So for all of that, it's about 16, 17 US dollars or 25 Australian dollars. Okay, so really it's a bargain. If you want that, you can grab it. All right, bye guys.